Guys, welcome back again. Dave's Dimension. Welcome back again for another video. Welcome back again to your channel. This is your home for tech, toys, and talk. And of course, the channel where chaos and insanity will always reign supreme. So we're back again, not for an unbox. We're going to do some talking of some Doctor Who. Now, the latest episode, Space Babies, came out. Actually, 2 episodes came out, but we're going to talk about the first episode, Space Babies. Now this one it's a bit silly, but I think it's silly in a good way. You kind of have to have a little bit of fun, and I definitely get that they're going for more of a family vibe, which is never a bad thing, guys. So let's go ahead and well, it starts out, of course, little intro, kind of picks up where we left off, where we see Ruby going into the TARDIS for the very first time. She's just kind of blown away by it. It looks fantastic. He says, of course, I'm the doctor. Kind of gives her a little bit of background that he is an orphan, because she says, well, no, I'm not going to call you the doctor. I want to know your name. And he kind of goes on, well, I'm an orphan too. It says, well, the people that took me in, they were very posh, and he drops a few names. Like the Ronnie and a few others. He says, they kind of went by titles. And he kind of gives her a little brief explanation. And he says, well, where should we go? He takes her to the time of the dinosaurs. There is a little bit of a butterfly effect, which he fixes. So it's a nice little comical little moment. Everything is fixed, and to go on, and to go to the future. Of course, like so many other companions, the very first time you go into the future, you're either getting a big, massive spaceship or a big, massive space station. And we get space station this time around. Some of the choices were definitely, this is definitely a Russell T Davies and a Doctor Who for, the new millennium, so to speak. I know that seems kind of weird and ironic, given that, he brought it back in 2005, and here we are, 2024. But it definitely feels like a more modernized Who. There is I'm not going to sugarcoat it, there is a slight level, a light little sprinkle of wokeness to it, but it's not so much that it's shoved down your throat. So I definitely think people are going to be open to it. This episode is definitely more playful, because they land on a spaceship. There's a Star Trek joke, and then there's some more Star Trek references visually later on in the episode. So stay tuned. You might want to watch it 2 or 3 times just to pick up some subtle hints. We get the Doctor and Ruby coming across this massive, slimy, scary-ass monster, and the Doctor is actually feeling shivers. He's actually feeling fear, and feels as if he wasn't going as fast as he should have been going. Like, he's got some doubt, and he's got some uncertainty about himself. This is a new Doctor. Now, one thing I think is probably missing is, in previous, this was an argument for the Chibnall era, and we're not going to rehash those arguments. However, this Doctor feels that he, doesn't feel as heavy as the previous ones have. What do I mean by that? He obviously acknowledges that he's the last of his people, that his people were genocide. The Time Lords were completely obliterated. And of course, that's thanks to the Master and the Cybermen during the Chibnall era. So the Doctor technically has lost Gallifrey twice within his very long, regenerated so many times lifetime. So there is that. But it doesn't feel like he has that weight on him. And I think part of that is because of the bi-generation. It is a byproduct of the bi-generation. Yeah, pun intended. When him and number 14, when him and Tennant separated into 2 separate people, I think that David Tennant felt and carried the brunt of all that shared suffering, all that anger, all that, resentment. He carries that with him, but that's another reason why they left him on Earth. They gave him a TARDIS, thanks to the temporal grace, or the, multi-spatial dimensional grace left by the wake of the Toymaker. Ncuti took a mallet, he hit the TARDIS separated also into 2. So, 14 does have a TARDIS if he ever wants to go on any adventures, or if he ever has to reappear and save the universe. But he's basically in retirement. He's enjoying the life. He's enjoying the slow life, not having to worry about saving the universe, because guess what? 15 is out there with his TARDIS, so he's the one to save the universe. 14 is off duty. However, uh, this doctor, number 15, Ncuti Gatwa, is I think he's got a lot of potential, but I like his energy. I like how, he's a bit silly, a little bit goofy at times. Not the goofy and silliness that we're used to, but it's there. He's also got a swagger about himself. So I think these are all good things. Every doctor has to be different. Even if in real life he's that way or not, or if he or she or they are that way in real life or not. But back to the story, they arrive on the station. There's a little Star Trek reference about, does the TARDIS use like matter transfer like Star Trek, and the doctor actually drops this joke. You know what? We should really visit them sometime. Like, visit who? The Star Trek actors? Are they acknowledging that maybe there's a Star Trek that is actually canon in Doctor Who? It's a nice little playful thing, but then we get another visual reference to Star Trek in a way without any verbal keys, because this space station was abandoned. All the adults abandoned the space station. Uh, and we see some video logs. The commanding officer is wearing red and black, obviously. We see a engineering officer who is wearing a yellow and black, and of course we see a communications officer, or a science officer if you will, wearing blue and black. That shouts Star Trek to me. I don't care who you are. So that's a funny little thing right there. But we find that the people, the ones who are actually maintaining the station, are these super babies. Well, the doctor keeps correcting himself, saying space babies instead of babies. But these are babies that talk like you and me. We can see their mouths moving, and there's, they're kid voices, but they're making, very strong sentences, and they're not like goo goo gaga. They're talking very normal like we would. Now these are babies who are somehow, they look like toddlers. They're not toddlers. They look like babies in strollers who happen to, been living on the space station for the past 6 years. Maybe some kind of genetic suspension. That's why they're not aging. Who knows? And these babies have there's Tinker Toys and strings that they use to be able to reach the various mechanisms and buttons. It's this weird kind of playful, crazy thing. They think that the Doctor and Ruby are their mommy and daddy. We don't get, "Are you my mommy?" We don't get any kind of jokes like that, so don't go looking for it. Don't go expecting it. But it's a nice, playful episode. Later on, they find out that there is another human being who is pretending to be the AI nanny of the ship. She explains to the Doctor and Ruby why she doesn't want to go out there to be there with the children. Because one, she doesn't want to lose them. And she also doesn't want them to lose her. So I like that. I like that strong writing right there. Now, one of the babies feels so much affection towards Ruby that he decides to go to the lower levels and take on the big monster. The scary, creepy monster that everyone calls the Boogeyman. And so the Doctor and Ruby have to go after this baby, and they do everything they can. They're trying to battle, and throughout the situations, they actually find out that the Boogie Monster is just that. It is a booger monster, a somehow sentient creature that is comprised of basically a genetic level of snot. Because earlier in the episode, we see that the nanny announces a nose blowing protocol. Since we have guests, everyone prepare for your noses to be blown. And there's these little robot arms with tissues that causes all the babies to kind of blow into their nose to, get rid of some germs. And they're all basically disposed through a tube that's shot downwards into the space station itself. So all that somehow was used to create this monster. We don't know how the monster was created. We just know that a monster was created. And it's only just the one. Now, later on, as the Doctor and Ruby are being directed by the nanny, she basically uses them as baits to steer the monster into a certain direction. The monster, the boogeyman, if you will, is trapped in an airlock, and she's about to blow him out the airlock. I know, she's about to blow a booger. Yeah, it's the thing. But the Doctor, being the Doctor, in his mind, the Doctor always gives his enemies, his adversaries, a chance, a choice. That is the core of the Doctor. And while the Doctor's standing there, viewing this monster, this creature, being, you know, holding on for dear life, trying to prevent itself from being passed through the damn airlock, he starts to realize this monster is one of a kind. He, the Doctor, is one of a kind. And this echoes to something he said to one of the children earlier. One of the children says, well, why didn't our mommy and daddies want us? Was there something wrong with us? And of course he goes and says, no, you are perfect the way you are. We all are perfect the way we are. I'm the only one of me, and I'm perfect the way I am. You are perfect the way you are. It's a very slight buttering of wokeness, but I think it's not necessarily woke. Some people are going to argue that it's wokeness. I think it's a nice reassurance. I get that some people are going to see that as wokeness, but I think the Doctor would also say, what the Doctor would say that regardless. We've heard the Doctor say, I've never met anyone in all my years of space and time. I've never met anyone who wasn't important. So I think that is a different way of wording it. Some people may feel triggered, but hey, it's up to how you interpret it. But the Doctor starts to rationalize that I'm the last of my kind. I'm the only one left. This creature is the only one of its kind. And the Doctor feels obliged to do everything he can to save it. And he realizes that this creature was created in the space station. So he does everything he can. He opens up the door to the airlock. He squeezes through, and he actually is holding on this like bar, this handle. Let's go. And he is right by the door frame of the airlock, and he triggers a button eventually to save both him and the creature. Okay. Later on, Ruby is also trying to convince the nanny, the woman who is like the space station's accountant that stayed behind to protect the babies, explains to her, you listen, it's up to you to take care of them all. It's up to you to save them all. You have to save them all, meaning the creature. And finally she breaks down and she realizes, yes, she has to save them all the babies. So, there's a moment where she kind of breaks down. Eventually, they get the space station thanks to a crap load, and I do mean a crap load of fuel. Hint, hint, wink, wink. You'll have to watch the episode yourself. Check it out. But they get the space station to a planet where all the babies, all the creatures will be welcomed with open arms. It's a planet that welcomes refugees, but you have to get to their shores first. So that's where they're headed right now. But at one point, there's this moment where they kind of like everyone's happy. The woman, the accountant, is out of the supply closet that she was held in for the past 6 years. And she's out mingling with the babies. And they even acknowledge the creature, which is still in the airlock, but no longer in danger. And even that creature is kind of happy because it kind of like, it props his head up and kind of lets out this like wolf howl. Like it's happy now. It's not, it's not filled with hate or filled with hostilities. Like it's part of the family now, almost in a weird kind of. It's Doctor Who, guys. I mean, come on. We've seen stranger things happen. And of course, now that the space station is on their way, the Doctor and Ruby must go on their way. They go to the TARDIS. And, the Doctor explains to Ruby, we can't ever go to where you're from, to that moment at Ruby Road on the church. We can never go to that moment because it will create a paradox. It can uncreate all of space and time. And she acknowledges that, and she says, no, I know exactly where to go. We need to go to Christmas, present day Christmas, with her adopted mother and grandmother. And of course, the TARDIS materializes in the kitchen, causing more destruction to the home. I can only imagine the bills. But before the Doctor exits the TARDIS, he's looking at scans of Ruby. Like every doctor cannot refuse a mystery, some kind of problem or puzzle to solve. And this is true with Ncuti. Ncuti Gatwa is, his doctor has to solve this mystery of Ruby. There's the why were the goblins? Why was she connected with the goblins? Why are there's all these coincidences centered around her? And what was it about the woman who delivered Ruby to the church? Why was she pointing at the doctor? These are all questions that are going to be racking our brains. Okay? There's definitely something centered around Ruby, and we've seen it where scans look normal on a human being before, but they were false. Amy Pond, when she thought she was pregnant, the TARDIS says she was pregnant, but also says she wasn't. Temporal flux, we don't know. Now we see at one point we see a number that says 68% Homo sapien, or 68% scanned, and they say that she's Homo sapien. Well, she could be Homo sapien plus. We don't know. There's still some weird other factor with Ruby that we still don't know about. And that's going to be very puzzling. But we just have to wait and see. And, I think that's part of why the doctor wants her to travel with him, is he wants to solve the mystery of her. But he's an orphan, she's an orphan. It's an orphan club, basically. But he gives her, at the end, he does give her a TARDIS key. Nice new shiny TARDIS key, by the way. And she's wanting to, what is this for? And he says, listen, I'm an orphan. I have nowhere to go. I want you to travel with me. He's like, listen, I don't have a mission. I don't have a job. I don't have bills to pay. I just have places to go and travel. So why don't you join me? And I mean, come on, that's an offer of a lifetime. I mean, come on, imagine you're like 19 going on 20, and someone offers, hey, let's go, let's be tourists around the world. Let's travel throughout all of space and time and just have a great time. I mean, hell, I'd go. I'd go now. But it's, this is definitely a different Who. I know a lot of people are going to be saying, "Oh, Disney is influencing." Disney just happens to be the streaming service. Okay, I'm sure they are giving money to Russell T Davies and Bad Wolf Productions for the rights to stream this, and I'm sure a lot of that money might be, pushed into production value. But this is still a UK television series. Okay, this is Russell T Davies running Doctor Who. This is not the mouse grabbing Doctor Who by the Sonic. It is none of that, guys. So please try to remember that. I know a lot of American audiences think, oh, it's on Disney, so Disney has power on it. No, they don't. It's still being streamed in the UK. It's still being produced in the UK and around the world, but their production value has gone up so much. Take a look at technology. Everything has gone up so much. As questionable as some of the storylines and some of the writing might be, I'm still enjoying the show. I think it's right now it's leaps and bounds above the Chibnall era. It feels consistent. It feels familiar, but yet different. And let's be honest, every Doctor is different at first. It usually takes quite a few adventures for the Doctor to kind of get a grip on who they are, whether male or female, no matter race, history. The Doctor, usually it takes a while for the Doctor to become who they are. David Tennant, when he first became the Doctor, he was all, very hot, very happy, very positive, and he didn't exactly think of people's feelings and emotions. This Doctor is more empathetic. He also enjoys life. He embraces it. He embraces the craziness of it. And I think that is a good direction. Because we're not getting repeats. We're not getting the same old stuff over and over and over again. But guys, that's it for Doctor Who, Episode 2, Space Babies. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section below. If you're giving this Doctor Who a chance, also let me know. Hit that like button. Hit that bell for notifications. And guys, you know what I'm going to say. I say it every single time. Keep on busting. And I'm always going to catch you on the flip side. Take care, guys.